The email arrived while I was sitting at his dinner table. Crystal chandelier above, imported wine in my glass, his mansion breathing money through marble walls. My phone vibrated once in my pocket. I didn't look at it. Not yet. Across from me, my father-in-law smiled the way men do when they believe they're generous, powerful, benevolent. He wiped his mouth slowly, leaned back in his chair, and folded his hands over his stomach. "I've been thinking about you," he said. I nodded, polite, empty. My wife squeezed my knee under the table, nervous, hopeful. She wanted approval. She always had. He studied me like an object, a cost, a liability. "You work hard at the factory," he continued, "but hard work doesn't always lead somewhere." A pause, calculated. "I could help you." My phone vibrated again. This time I felt it like a pulse in my bloodstream. "I have an opening," he said, lowering his voice as if offering mercy. "Janitorial supervisor, $35,000 a year, stable, honest work." 35,000. I stared at the tablecloth, white, immaculate, untouched by reality. Inside my pocket, my lawyer's name glowed on the screen. Subject, as requested. Sent. I finally smiled. He had never liked me. From the first day he shook my hand, his grip too firm, eyes scanning my shoes, my watch, my silence. He thought money spoke. I let him believe that. For years I wore cheap suits, drove an old car, clocked in at his subsidiary factory like a ghost. I listened while managers mocked workers with no ambition. They never checked ownership records. Why would they? Men like him don't imagine janitors sitting on boards. My wife didn't know either. That was the real betrayal. Not the job offer, not the insult. It was the way she watched her father humiliate me and said nothing. The way she flinched, not at his cruelty, but at the idea that I might refuse. She had learned survival by submission. I had learned it by silence. The truth was heavier than the table between us. I owned 47% of his company, quietly, through layered holdings, offshore trusts, names that didn't lead back to me. I was worth $1.4 billion on paper. In his mind, I was disposable. He lifted his glass. "This could be a fresh start for you." My wife looked at me, eyes pleading. "Say yes. Be small. Don't embarrass us." I thought about all the meetings I'd attended anonymously, all the votes I'd cast that shaped his empire. I thought about how easily perception becomes reality. My phone vibrated again. I let it. I didn't answer him right away. Silence unsettles people who expect gratitude. He shifted in his chair. I took a sip of wine. Expensive, overpriced, empty. "I'll think about it," I said. Relief crossed his face. Control restored. Dinner ended. Smiles. Goodbyes. The performance concluded. In the car, my wife exhaled. "You should take it," she said softly. "He's trying to help." Help. I watched the city slide past the window. Lights, movement, people who believed what they saw. That night, I didn't sleep. I replayed every moment he had dismissed me, every time he spoke over me in meetings I pretended not to understand, every joke about factory workers with dirty hands. I checked my phone. My lawyer had done exactly what I asked. He'd sent an email to the board, CC'd my father-in-law. Subject line precise, neutral, disclosure of beneficial ownership. No drama, no threats, just documents. Facts don't raise their voices. They don't need to. I imagined him reading it, the slow comprehension, the denial, the math. I felt nothing. That scared me. The next morning he called. He never called. His voice was different, thin, uncertain. "There's been a mistake," he said. "No," I replied, "there hasn't." Silence, paper shuffling, breathing. "You should come by," he said. "We need to talk." "I'm at work," I said. "The factory. The place he thought defined me." Another pause. "Of course you are." I arrived at his office an hour later. He stood when I entered, didn't offer his hand. On his desk lay printed documents, highlighted, annotated, ruined. "You could have told me," he said. I sat. "You never asked." His face tightened. "Why?" "Because you never see people like me. Because power likes blindness." "Does my daughter know?" he asked. "No." A flicker of relief, then fear. "You humiliated me," he said. I met his eyes, calm, detached. "You offered me a janitor's job." The truth landed between us, heavy, undeniable. For the first time, he had no words. "I built this company," he said finally. I nodded. "You did. And you," his voice cracked, "you were going to let me make a fool of myself." I leaned forward slightly, not aggressive, intentional. "You've been doing that for years." He swallowed. "I won't challenge your position," I continued. "I won't expose anything beyond what's required." Hope sparked. "But," I said, "you will resign from the board." The hope died. "You can't." "I can." I slid a single page across the desk, a vote count, numbers, cold. 47%. "You'll keep your title," I said, "your mansion, your dinners, but you won't speak to me again as if I'm less." He stared at the paper like it might dissolve. "And my daughter?" he asked. I stood. "That's between you and her." I walked out without shaking his hand. Power doesn't need ceremony. That night I packed a bag. My wife cried, confused, angry, apologetic. I didn't argue. Some truths arrive too late to save anything. I left the house quietly. No confrontation, no forgiveness. Just distance. From the man who underestimated me. From the woman who watched. From the version of myself that thought silence was enough. In the end, I didn't destroy him. I let him live knowing who he bowed to without realizing it. That knowledge will haunt him longer than ruin ever could. As for me, I finally stopped pretending to be small, and I never looked back.